Hey guys, it's Core Ross and World 6 News. Today we are talking about Mousetrap in Rainbow Six Siege, which is launching within the week. This is an anti-cheat to combat mouse and keyboard on console, which use third-party adapters. But I'm also going to talk about Call of Duty, whose Ricochet anti-cheat is also getting an update this week, which is going to be detecting third-party devices, things like strike packs and such, which reduce or eliminate recoil entirely. And what's amazing about this is that both of these developers have been working on these solutions for over a year, potentially multiple years, and they're both launching within the same week as each other, which is just incredible. They also appear to be going at it from different angles. So on Call of Duty, there is aim assist, which means that anything that reduces recoil can actually be very useful even on PC. So people are plugging in controllers and using stuff like strike packs to reduce recoil, and as such can get a big advantage. So it's a huge issue in a competitive game. Whereas on Siege, there is no aim assist for PvP, which means that using a controller on a PC would just be a big disadvantage, even with strike packs eliminating recoil. And as such, the anti-cheat on Siege is much more focused on the mouse and keyboard. But looking at both their solutions, they're both combating completely different things. But if we were to combine them together, we would potentially have the perfect anti-cheat. So I do wonder if both these companies could come together to share their technology for how they're detecting stuff, and that would make both of their anti-cheats better. But we'll see if there's any kind of cooperation in the future. Now let's have a chat about the punishments that both games can dish out to cheaters. So the Ricochet anti-cheat, it can ban you entirely, so outright, and it can also remove you from the ranked records, which is great. But when we're specifically talking about the third-party hardware for controllers, then the game will be more lenient, as it will begin with just simple warnings at first, but as the system gets more confident that you are cheating, it will then start to bring in some mitigation. Some of these are pretty cool and hilarious. So for instance, legit players will become invisible to cheaters, so the cheaters just won't be able to see them and of course get killed by the legit player. The cheater can then also be disarmed of their weapon. And the third one is that a damage shield can come up which protects the legit player, and the cheater will take much more damage. So very much kind of trolling the cheaters. And now I assume the reason they're not just outright banning these people using hardware on their controllers is most likely because there will be some false positives, and as this anti-cheat develops, they can get more confident. Now, a lot of people will also say that a reason they don't ban these kind of cheaters on console is because it takes up a large percentage of players. But the reality is that cheaters on PC also make up a large percentage of players, and they ban them. So I think as soon as they get confident enough, they will outright ban. There's also going to be a bit of a cat and mouse chase here, where the developers of this hardware that is used to cheat will update their firmware to try and get kind of countermeasures to it and avoid detection. So we'll see how both developers of these games are able to iterate their anti-cheats to keep up with the changes to the hardware. And then moving over to Ubisoft's anti-cheat, which is called Mousetrap, they are also trolling the players that are cheating by adding input delay, which will get progressively worse, and as such is going to be just torture, because input delay on a first person shooter is the worst thing to experience, and players can switch back to a controller, but it'll take multiple games for that input delay to actually go away, making it so that hopefully you're not going to jump right back on your mouse and keyboard. And yeah, both of these systems seem to have this slight flaw right now, which is they're not confident. They're not going straight for the full-on bans. They're just trolling the cheaters and hopefully not picking up too many innocent people along the way. And the longer these systems are developed for, hopefully the more accurate they will become. And again, the cat and mouse game with the developers of the cheats as well. And both of these, like I say, seem to be kind of targeting different stuff. The Call of Duty one very much going for stuff like strike packs that remove recoil when you're using a controller, and the Siege one, which is very much going towards mouse and keyboard adapters. So I do hope there is some progress in the future where both of these things can come together to make potentially the perfect anti-cheat for console. But it is possible as well that what will happen in the long term is that the cheat makers will be able to bypass these systems, maybe by simply not being as good as they previously were. Maybe the recoil won't get reduced as much, or the mouse and keyboard won't be as accurate as previously possible, but will be more kind of representative of a controller input, and maybe that's how they'll get past it, giving you a slight improvement, or maybe they'll be able to get over it entirely. But we'll see how these systems play out because they could be using AI, machine learning, or extremely complex algorithms that are going to be able to figure all this out and see these patterns and track down these players and put these punishments on them. But certainly my confidence levels in these kind of systems has gone from 0, thinking there was no way they would be able to fix this issue, to suddenly having 2 implementations in 2 very big games that apparently are going to, at this point, fix the issue or at least reduce it in some way. And if they don't easily get around it, this is good news for gamers, and I'm looking forward to both these implementations.